Good morning, everyone. It is such a joy to welcome you to Newman Lumen on this bright and sunny Thursday. I'm Reverend Julie Tonneson, and I serve as the Associate University Chaplain here at Elon. This morning, we are so grateful to be able to kick off our time together with music from Twisted Measure. Founded in 1999, Twisted Measure is Elon's oldest a cappella group, celebrating 25 years this year, right? I didn't actually do the math. I've just seen the social media posts. They are a close-knit group of students from all genders and a wide range of vocal and personal backgrounds. They perform frequently on campus, have 9 studio albums, can be found on all streaming platforms, with their most recent album titled Dusk Before Dawn and their newest single titled Pluto. So please help me to welcome Twisted Measure this morning.
Such a proud mom. Twisted Measure, friends, aren't they amazing? As always, you are barefoot and beautiful. And a shout out to Maya Spencer, who is helping to bring the classics back to our set list. Yay. I actually know some of the songs now, so I'm really excited about that. I love being an advisor to this group. They're awesome. The biggest shout out today, though, is to your Newman Lumen speaker, Julia Johnson, who I met when she joined this merry band of music makers during her first semester at Elon. I was immediately captivated by this young woman who has quite the skill set. The first thing that caught my attention was her gift for leadership, as she took on a role with Twisted Measure Exec as business manager during her first year. And then she later became co-music director with Anna Durr, which is also a huge job to take on. I was so impressed with her initiative and her spark that I offered her a job at the Truett Center. During her time at the Truett Center, she also worked a summer, which kind of qualifies her as a junior member of our professional staff as well. In addition to being a literal rock star, she is also a member of Elon College Fellows and AZD sorority. Julia has earned the admiration and respect of her friends in Twisted Measure, as well as the student office assistants and interns who are on our staff here. She is a trusted confidant, a wonderful listener, and possesses the most joyful sense of humor. I love how she loves her family. I also appreciate her energy, enthusiasm, and positivity as she brings light into this building every week. Without further delay, I give you Julia Johnson.
Good morning, everyone. I've always wanted someone to do that. That's awesome. All right, let's get started. What does it mean to be empowered? To truly stand on your own 2 feet and feel secure, supported, and strong. Strong enough to use your voice for good and have the courage to use it against evil. I used to think empowerment was a journey that I had to trek all alone, braving every up and down and winding turn on the path to inner peace. I thought one day I would just arrive, step into the shoes of my truest self. But as some philosopher, otherwise known as Kristen Perry, once said, the only thing that's constant is change. I'd love to take this time to share with you the lessons that I learned on the road to empowerment. If I'm honest, before college, I don't think I quite understood what true empowerment meant. To be empowered was to speak the loudest, to be the most seen, the most revered. So I filled every moment of silence that I could. But in times where I actually needed to advocate for myself, that constant chatter turned into a mumble. Choosing was a divisive act that should be avoided at all costs. Flexibility meant bending myself over backwards to please others. Strength meant how many push-ups I could do in gym class, and unfortunately, it was not a lot. I'm sure we all sometimes revert to our teenage selves in that way, opting to be the peacemaker rather than making waves. During those high school years, I shrunk into a box, and I told myself that I couldn't exceed it. But teenage Julia taught me patience, optimistic patience during those formative years, on the precipice of blossoming into my most fulfilled self. I could make a whole speech complaining about not getting a senior prom, a normal high school graduation. In fact, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't waiting with bated breath to experience those rites of passage now. But 4 years ago, amidst my senior spring, during the whirlwind time that was 2020, I moved from my childhood home in Fairfield, Connecticut to Cary, North Carolina. And that in itself was an act of leaving my childhood behind, against my will, starting a new chapter. It's hard to look back at that time. I thought about not mentioning it at all. 2020 was a year best described by isolation, conflict, and growing pains. A time we'd all rather forget, 2020 symbolized a radical shift in the way we all saw each other, because we couldn't see each other. Our phones became the key to our happiness, holding the little bit of connection that we had left. 2020 Julia taught me the weight of a phone call, the gift of every moment your cheeks flush and your stomach hurts from laughter. In a time that we all felt lost, 2020 meant rediscovering what it meant to be alive. So when I got to Elon, it felt like I was stepping into the world again. Freshman year meant starting from scratch with no recipe. With a bright yellow lanyard around my neck, I marched into the Truett Center on my first day of class and asked how to get to the 3rd floor. I don't know how many of y'all have spent extensive time in the Truett Center, but I believe it was Jan Register herself that held back all of her giggles and graciously told me there was no 3rd floor. To be a freshman was to be humbled. In response to this new environment, I clung to some of the people in this room for dear life. We had no roadmap to the perfect freshman year, They just met me where I was. We were quite literally terrified together. I was anything but empowered, but at least I was in good company. Somehow, we came out the other side, ready for whatever came next. Freshman Julia taught me to learn from my peers and value our shared experiences. The only way out is through. Sophomore year is when one of the most important people in my life, my Nona, got sick. I spent many weekends going home to listen to the birds with her, hear her stories, watch her invent these crazy tactics to spice up her everyday life. What they don't tell you when you're a kid is the people around you are growing up, just like you are. Over the years, I ate millions of freshly baked cannolis after school, and I secretly loved when I would wake up sick because it meant I got to go to Nona's, where she would conjure up a magic chicken noodle soup potion to make me feel better. In all forms of the word, Nona was a healer. She showed love through food. I show love through words. So as her memory went, I worried that she would forget all of those formative moments of my childhood. But with every consecutive home visit, with a sparkle in her eye, she reminded me of what a once young Julia told to her on one of the countless afternoons we spent together. I looked her straight in the eye, and I said, "It doesn't matter what, I will always love you." Come to think of it, it probably happened after a bite of her delicious pizza or after she let me win a game of checkers. Though I meant those words wholeheartedly, I don't think I could have ever conceptualized what they truly meant to her. Nona taught me that while love can take many different forms, the way people make you feel will stick with you forever. I was working at the Truett Center when my Nona passed. Reverend Boswell sat with me, and together we recounted fond memories of our loved ones. We laughed, we cried, we sat in silence. We reflected on Nona's well-lived life and the outpouring of love that enveloped her. That 2022 summer, and really every moment since, the Truett Center faculty and staff expressed the purest form of kindness and support. Instead of concealing my grief, I would come to work and I would celebrate it. I could never put into words what that summer meant for me. After a fulfilling day of work, connecting with my faith and with my colleagues, I went home to little jars of flowers, chopped up peaches from the farmer's market, and PowerPoints with Sarah, Roxy, Danny, and Christina. Every night, when the darkness would come, we sat around a bonfire and huddled together to keep warm. That all-consuming tightness in my chest went away after a while, and slowly, it was replaced with that stomach-churning laughter again. I collected their small acts of kindness like seeds, and I planted them until they grew into the beautiful friendships I have today. Nona lived a hard life, but a full one. She had a kind of unshakable strength and persistence that came from a fire within, something that I never fully understood. But my strength, my empowerment, comes from my surroundings. Like an ever-blooming flower, that summer, I learned to bend toward the sun. That moment changed everything I thought I knew about connection, growth, and really life in general. I began to understand the profound impact that we have on each other as humans. How you don't have to be the most perfect, flashy, palatable version of yourself to be understood. But it's about courageously showing your pure and genuine heart. I found the most solace in those moments of knowing silence. That is where I conjure my strength. After loss, we have to build a life from scratch, a life without that person or thing. In fact, we never end our journey to empowerment because we are always starting it. Moving to North Carolina and beginning college was a chance to start anew. I started again after Nona. And in the following semester, when I went abroad, I started again building a community in a completely different language. Then I started again when coming back. I started senior year. And now I'm about to start my freshman year of the real world. But I don't get a lanyard this time. I'm scared to build a new community because I'm so eager to be settled and truly known. Lost my place, hold on. I'll never again have what I have right now, which is a bittersweet feeling to grapple with. It gets harder and easier every time. But starting over is a gift because you're bringing that toolbox of cherished and difficult experiences with you wherever you go. We carry those sentiments with us forever. And eventually, we find those people that make us feel whole again. Hold on to them while you can. Tell them you love them. Speak with conviction when you use your words, because they carry so much weight. At the end of the day, empowerment is the third floor of the Truett Center. It's chicken noodle soup, it's Sunday night dinners, and conquering your fear of singing with your shoes off in front of people. It's in silence and noise, in your highest and your lowest moments. It's not finite, it's constantly evolving, and it's deeply personal. You have to cultivate it, practice it, celebrate it. It doesn't ever really go away, it just hides. But it is the people you surround yourself with that help you find it, time after time after time. Thank you.